And now, weighing in out of the blue corner, Josh the Punk Thompson. 100%. And on the other mic, he weighs in from the red corner, Big Sean McCarthy.
Well, hello and welcome into the Weighing In podcast. Because we are a little bit late, that is because my man Josh's son had a big time tournament that he was part of, and my man had to see it. I don't blame him. That's what you're supposed to do when you're a real dad. That was a beautiful thing. I'm glad that we're late, but there were some good fights on the UFC fight night, and there's a lot to talk about with things that came from that, things that are coming up next week, all kinds of stuff that's going on in the world. How did your son do? Tell me.
He did good, man. They lost in the finals to a really good team out of Austin. I think they're the number 2 ranked team in the state. But, man, they played their butts off. They played really hard. They were down, I want to say.
That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, they were down 7-1 at half, came back, and ended up losing 9-6. So they had some fight still left them at the end. They were doing well. These kids are big, man. My son's not a big kid, and these kids are big. Good thing he's got some wheels. If he wasn't fast, he'd be screwed. He'd be getting pancaked. Like that one day when you fell on top of me in the cage.
Is that
how it would be.
Yeah.
He's doing well.
What happens when you attack old people?
Yeah. You just tripped in the canvas and just.
Oh, is that what it was? Okay.
Stuck underneath. Yeah. The story changes every time I tell it.
Every time.
Every time. And then I was at the Ole Miss Georgia game last night in the SEC. Took the 4:50 a.m. flight out of Nashville.
Shocking.
7:20 landed and
shocking
made it in time for my son's semifinal and finals game. So we had a great time, man. It was awesome. Stormed the field last night. Watched the Jets come overhead. We had a blast. Good. Hit the library. We were at the Grove. Hit the library there. It's like an old bar there they're popular for. Hit that spot. Jumped on the bus and headed back home, man.
It's very nice. That's
great time.
Good when you have those moments. You get to get away and go do those things. That's awesome.
It was good to see my family. My cousin was out, and we had some old school friends that we've known for almost 30 years, probably close to 30 years. So, yeah, man, it was good to get the fellas together. Played some golf on Friday, and then
I heard your cousin kind of lit you up a little bit too.
Can you tell? Look at my face and my voice. My voice is probably gone from the game, but
well, see, he took over from where I left off.
Yes,
we're not going to work the same way, and so I don't have that ability to poison your system.
He definitely made up for it. He literally called my wife and goes, "Hey, I'm going to go in hard on him." So he's going to be
awesome.
Be prepared to get your husband back a little tipsy. So it was a rough flight this morning. 4:50, I'm like strolling up to the gate. I'm like, oh, my face is all puffy. I had to soak my face in some ice. And I was like, oh, this is rough.
You're putting it in your cold plunge.
Yeah, just so I could I do that. That's what I do to keep my face looking clean, man. But it was rough. Hey, but the fights were great, man. The fights were awesome. A lot of finishes early in the card too, and man, just some good fights. Impressive. I mean, would you look? Look, this might be controversial. They were good fights,
yes.
But when you have a lot of finishes like that, were they evenly matched?
No, not a lot of them. But look. In a way, the UFC knows that too, because they're going to push certain people. They're giving people that they're seeing on the rise a person that has been there, but is kind of on the downside of their career, and that's just normal promotion. That's normal matchmaking. Yeah. It's not the people get all this whole idea. Look, the WWE can do whatever it wants. It's predetermined, so it's pretty simple. But when you're fighting for real, anything can happen, and it does at times. But for the most part, the matchmakers in the UFC and Dana, they're smart enough to know, hey, all right, this person and this person, there's an 80% chance, fighter A is going to win in this. And so that's who we want to push. And so let's put this fight together. And, sometimes the 20% pops up, but most of the time it's the 80. That's just the way it is.
Yeah, I mean, that's what happens. Like sometimes maybe you'll get someone that rises to the occasion and ends up, with an upset or a fight that they shouldn't have won, impresses the UFC and keeps their job security.
That's it.
I just remember though when Bellator or when Strikeforce or would have cards like this, everyone's like, oh, these are all just a bunch of mismatches.
Oh yeah,
no, look at it the same way.
Do we still all the time? I love those.
But I thought were they mismatches or just did people just have great performances? Some of them were a mismatch, but also too like Prates, right? Like when we looked at him, like is it Prates? Prates?
Yeah, whatever.
Anyways, he fights
Carlos Prates.
We knew it was going to be a problem. We knew it was going to be a tough fight for Neil Magny. The age, the youth, the excitement, the speed, the power. And I didn't realize that he was that tall and that big. I knew he was tall, but I didn't when I saw him next to Neil Magny, I'm like, oh wow, you guys are almost equal. Neil's tall, long, and lanky for the weight class.
Oh, he's very tall, 6'3".
Yeah, he gives people problems with that. There was none of that going on. And just it was as soon as I saw them square up, I was like, oh, this is going to be a lot different fight than I was given. I thought Neil was still going to be a little bit longer, still a little bit. No, there was no concern whatsoever in that fight.
No,
none. You could just see by the way he was flowing out there.
We both said, I love Neil Magny as a fighter, but there comes a point where you're not put in there to win, and this is what we're talking about. And that fight right there, let's be honest. Carlos went out there, and as soon as he had Magny try to take him down, and he stopped that, and then he got hit by him, it was like, you got nothing for me.
Yeah.
And he basically, I'm not saying he disrespected him, but he just walked him down, just, without any type of concern or respect towards power or anything he could do. And he just, he put it on him. And unfortunately, when you're Neil Magny, this is what happens when you get up to 39 years of age and you've had a really good career, but they're going to use you. They're going to use you to start propelling that next level guy, the one that they know, hey, this kid's good. He's 31. He's got like 5-6 good years in him. We can push this guy, and this is what happens. And I don't in any way think the UFC is doing anything wrong. They're not. This is promotion.
Yeah, you've got to build up your stars. Otherwise, you're going to end up with,
nothing.
Older guys. There was no market. You've got to build up your younger guys coming up. It's a smart business deal. That's what they're doing. They know what they're doing. They've been doing this for a long time.
Oh yeah.
You've got to have the right athletes. I think this young man is going to be a star. He's fun to watch.
He's good.
He's good. His takedown defense was good. His balance on his feet, like when Neil had the leg hiked up, he was hopping around on one foot.
Dude, he had it up high.
Yes.
He was trying to treetop that sucker at a point, and it's like, Jesus Christ, I'd be on my ass, and he was just hopping around, no problem. And then the other thing is, Josh, he's got power.
Yes,
he's got some pop in his hands. You can see it. You could see Neil when he got hit was like, oh shit, that hurt.
Yeah.
Okay. And then he got hit with the one that hit him on the temple. It put him down. He was done. That's not common.
It's for me, I tend to look at fighters like this, and I obviously, because of my experience in the cage and where I was at 39 years old, like how Neil is, my last fight with Patricky Pitbull, he didn't really even hit me hard, and it didn't take much. But remember in the first round, he grazed me with this forearm across the top of my head, and kind of stopped me to my butt a little bit.
Yep.
And in the second round, it was just, we clashed heads. I know you forgot that already, but I haven't. And, and then the next shot was the finishing shot. But simply saying, like, the shots you take at 25 versus the shots you take at 39 are just not the same.
Yeah.
Like
you're able to handle things so much better. Yeah, exactly.
And I remember after I fought Patricky, I remember walking past the cage, like a couple months later, and listening to guys hit each other, listening to two guys hit each other.
I was there, and you looked at me and you went, "Oh."
I don't.
I was like, "What?" And you go, "I don't ever want to do that again."
Yeah, I was like, I don't miss this.
Yeah.
I don't miss that feeling, and especially when you're 39, I saw that look on Neil Magny's face. Maybe I'm wrong, but I just saw the look of like, man, this is not what I expected anymore. I think on his face, that's what I saw. It was the backpedaling, the circling, like, oh, these shots are hitting me and they're hurting me, and it's that thudding feeling. Like, I don't know if he wants to do it anymore.
Well, there comes that point, and so there's always, I can't say it's every fight, but there's the predator and there's the prey. And one fighter is the predator, and obviously in this one it was Carlos, and the prey ended up being Neil. And that sometimes is something that, as the fighter yourself, you've been that predator for so long, and then all of a sudden you're not it. the opponent is, and it's hard to deal with, and it's hard to get that, feeling of I need to do these things defensively and just, keep myself safe. And when you're switched into that mode, it's that, it's the time's coming. There can always be that one person, but if it happens multiple times with your fights, it's telling you. And that's because people see that your speed is slowed down. Your ability to get your shot on target is a little bit less. Everything, and this is incremental little tiny bits, but they add up to huge differences in the fight game.
Where do you put Carlos at now? Like in terms of he just beat number 15, Neil Magny. Vicente Luque is scheduled to fight Nick Diaz. Michael Venom Page is there at 13. You got Michael Morales. Him and Prates would be a good fight. That'd be a good fight. If I got up into there, I don't want to throw out Stephen Thompson's because he's older as well. Maybe a Jeff Neal fight, somebody somewhere in there.
Jeff Neal would be a great fight for him.
I think Buckley's got bigger plans, knowing that I think he's fighting. Who's he got next?
He's got Ian Gary.
That's going to be a great fight.
That's a great fight.
It should be a fun fight. So, but you got those guys that are there. The Colby Covington's apparently talking about fighting Jack Della Maddalena.
That's a great fight.
But I'm looking at somebody probably in that, Michael Venom Page, Michael Morales.
I think Venom Page is going to go to 185.
Oh, is he?
I believe so. Yeah. He's looking at 185. And the cut is, when you're taking a look, he's getting older.
Yeah.
He's got the frame for 185, so that's not going to, make a difference. So, power wise, he'll gain a little bit of power, they're going to hit a little harder, but he doesn't get hit much. So it's one of those, his speed will equate to a better performance for him against 185ers than against 170ers. So, and if you honestly take a look at the UFC, Josh, who's got what weight class, welterweight or middleweight, has better wrestlers for the most part? You got Khamzat. Yeah. You got Khamzat, but overall, it's the welterweights.
Yeah, he's going to have a little bit of a problem. You got Brendan Allen's there. You got Imavov, who can wrestle but doesn't ever use it. Yeah. You've got guys that are there that can get it done, but I think the speed's going to be a huge factor. I mean, he's going to be able to touch them and get in and get out. That's the benefit of him going up in weight. Right. But I go back to Carlos. I think Carlos, definitely the sky's the limits for him, but I think we're going to have to see him fight. Do you fight him against a Michael Morales? Because Michael Morales is also a young and up-and-coming star. Do you want to ruin one or the other? Or do you basically say, hey, you know what? Let's go ahead and leapfrog him?
Michael Morales is so young.
Yes.
So young that doesn't matter. It
always matters, John.
No, it doesn't. It really doesn't. He's so
it always
young,
matters, John.
Yeah, no.
The kid's good. He is good.
He is good, but I don't think he can beat Prates. I think Prates
probably not yet.
Beats him.
Yeah, probably not yet.
And so, with that ranking above him right now, you sit there and you say he's ranked above him, but you don't know because the rankings have got to come out after that. He might move way up because look, he took a guy that has been around for a long time that we know is a good fighter in Neil Magny and just shut him down.
Yep. Next fight.
All right. Well, we missed. I hate to say we missed a fight with Miles Johns and Cody Garbrandt. That one got pulled, but we had RDR Rainier de Ritter coming from ONE FC taking on Gerald Meerschaert. And this is one of those ones again. The UFC it's a tough place, with a lot of good fighters. And a lot of people are going to sit there and talk about, wow, they gave, him, Gerald Meerschaert. Gerald Meerschaert is as hard a fight for RDR as there is, based upon, look at RDR is great on the ground, and he is really good on the ground. His transitions, the way he sets things up, his pressure, everything he does on the ground is fantastic. But who's a person that can deal with that is Meerschaert. And I thought Gerald actually did a good job. I had the fight even going into the third round. Before the finish came. And, if you're going to get a finish by submission against Meerschaert, you're doing something well.
Yeah, I thought it was a good fight. I thought that obviously the end of the first round was exciting. the control. Where do you rule the control for the first part of the fight, and then the finish, and not the finish, but the how he dropped him at the end of the first.
You almost got finished.
Yeah,
look at that first round was all Gerald Meerschaert. He was winning it, no doubt, and he lost the round when DeRitter put him down and hurt him, and he was hurt. That's and this is where people get into this whole thing. Well, he landed more punches. No, who came closest to finishing the fight? Now, Gerald landed some great shots in that first round. I thought, he was landing some beautiful punch combinations. He was doing good work, but at no point did you go, "Oh, DeRitter's in trouble." Okay,
yeah.
But you did say that about Gerald at the end of that first round, and that round definitely went to DeRitter.
John, do you notice a difference in the Apex fights? How there's less camera angles and there's less, I noticed that a lot of the punches and a lot of the good shots for specifically in this card, I haven't noticed it as much before. There was a lot of times where the camera was in the wrong spot and you missed the shot. Like the knee to the head of Truco, what's the guy's name? Not Trocoli. The one that got knocked out by Abdul-Malik.
Malik. Yeah, that was a Duco.
Duco, right? Yeah. So that the knee, you didn't see the knee that was from the back. This shot too with the Meerschaert where he got hit with the shot with the elbow. It was from the back. You didn't really see what happened. All of a sudden he's rocked, but you did see the nice left hook, but the ref was kind of in the way. Yeah. Also, but I've noticed that a lot of the camera angles for some of these big shots on this card specifically, there was a lot of shots that were missed.
I don't think it's the cameras. I think they have all the cameras that they normally do. They don't cut corners. I think that you have production teams that they have their A group and they have a B group that will come in and do the lesser shows at times and give the other guys a break. And I think sometimes you get, just a difference in the way that producer and director are working together and what they're doing and what they're putting out. The camera angles, it's different. Anthony D'Argiano has been the guy for a long time, with UFC that he puts out, he does all the pay-per-views and everything like that and does a great job. And, sometimes they have to have other people, go in there and work. And so,
I'm not saying that. I know they don't cut corners, but what I'm saying is in a smaller venue, in a smaller cage, there's less positions for cameras to be around. So they're probably instead of using, say, 8 or 10 cameras, they're probably using 4 to 5 just around the cage is what I'm saying.
I really don't think so. And then why I'm saying that is you got to figure this is a facility that they don't have to take the cameras down. They can mount cameras off of the booms and beams off the ceiling, and they have it all there. So I don't think they have less. I think it's a difference in the people running the production at the time. Which group it is.
I could see that. As well. I just figured in a smaller venue, not as many shots to be able to get some of them because you are kind of crowded in there a little bit. Yeah. Doesn't matter if it's an Apex show. Actually, I take that back. It does matter. If you're doing like the Sphere versus the Apex, right? You're still going to have you're going to have 250 employees still doing the show at the Apex, but obviously at the Sphere, you're probably having you're adding another 100 probably employees there. You're making sure that everything is handled properly. Yeah. So no doubt. I just noticed for some reason in this event, there was a lot of shots that I missed where I missed the clean shot, the clean punch, because they were either switching camera angle or the angle was in the wrong position. I got a lot of it back.
Yeah.
And just something I noticed myself.
Yeah, it's okay. Yeah. Yeah, but I thought the one thing I do like what they're doing is they're trying to throw up that replay even if the fight is still underway. What was that landed? And they try to put it up, and they're putting it up there. That's great. I think that's a thing that everyone needs to be able to see because sometimes you don't see the punch, you don't see the elbow, you don't see what actually hurt that person. You're sitting there going, "What hurt him? Why are they hurt?" And I think it's great.
The Neil Magny fight, I didn't see what hit him until I saw the replay.
Yeah.
I didn't see
that's because there wasn't a whole lot of movement on Magny's head or anything, but you can see, and when you get hit in the temple, man, it can just absolutely discombobulate you, man.
I was about to use that word right there. Yep. I figured you were fishing for the same word I was. I just noticed that. I mean, there was that shot on Neil. Didn't seem like it landed hard, but it just cleaned right at the top of the head. And I just gave me flashbacks of when I fought Patricky, and he grazed the top of my head and just sat me to my butt at the end of the first round. Hit me thinking, I'm like, man, 39. It'll do it to you, buddy. It'll do it to you.
Father Time's a son bitch.
Hey, before we move on, though, this show is brought to you by BetUS, an element as well. And make sure you guys use BetUS YouTube 150. Get it out, Josh Thompson. Get it out. YouTube 150.
It's a rough one.
BetUS is our promo code. An element, use our link down below in the descriptions there. And every package you guys buy, they will send you a bonus package of extra content or a product.
Extra product.
Extra product.
We'll give you extra content too if you listen to us.
What else? Okay, so what else were we talking? Sorry.
We were talking about DeRitter. Do you think, in your opinion, was it a good first performance for a guy coming into the UFC with a pretty good and substantial resume?
I thought that Gerald Meerschaert was a perfect fight for him to come into. Now, I don't know if it was some of the nerves. He looked tired after about the halfway through the second round.
Yeah.
It's nerves. His wrestling's not great. His jiu-jitsu is good. He's got to get better at ground and pound. But look, I can already see the future. If he doesn't change and evolve his game a little bit, he's going to be fighting. He won't be fighting the co-main or the main. Like it's.
See, I look at it differently, and this is where, if I was going to pick out one fighter that kind of RDR reminds me of, in the fact that, look, he's pretty much a one-dimensional guy. He can stand, but he's like Ben Askren. Very much like Ben Askren.
Yeah, but he can't wrestle like Ben Askren.
I didn't say he can wrestle, but Ben Askren couldn't submit guys like RDR. And so, yes, there is a difference in it, but he is the modern day Ben Askren with a healthy body. I'm just going to, he's only, okay, quickly. Who has he lost to? Think about it.
No idea, John.
That's okay. Anatoly Malkin.
Yeah.
Okay. Who is what?
He's a heavyweight.
He's a heavyweight. Okay.
He's got heavyweight and heavyweight champ, correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. He's a big dude. He's a solid guy, and Malkin, if you watch him fight, he's tough. They're talking about him fighting. I saw a thing with him doing interviews. He wants to fight Francis Ngannou, but that's the two losses that, DeRitter has it's against Malkin, and Malkin is he's a strong monster who hits hard. And so I'm not saying that, there's not people there in the UFC that can beat DeRitter. I believe there is.
Yeah.
I believe there's people there that will give him a hard time, but he's going to give a lot of people a hard time, based upon his grappling when he gets the fight to the ground. Look out. He's got that different, everyone, with BJ Penn, we talked to Dean Thomas and he goes, I had no idea, until all of a sudden I was, all of a sudden I was on the ground with him. It was like, holy shit, and it's hard to explain if someone hasn't rolled with people and stuff. There is a difference. You will, you can go with 12 guys, 10 guys, 8 guys, 7 guys, whatever it is. And everyone is, we're the same thing. And all of a sudden the one guy steps on the mat that, he's good. And he just mops the floor with you. Yeah. Because he's so good at what he does, and he's so stifling, and he's so good at just basics and not making mistakes. He doesn't have to do fancy things. He just doesn't make mistakes. And that's usually what that puts you in trouble.
Yeah, I wasn't overly impressed with his debut, but I also know there's a lot of nerves that comes along with it.
Sure.
New promotion, new people around. You're not comfortable yet. You're fighting in the Apex, by the way.
Exactly. Which is
different.
In some ways, I think it would be good for people that don't have a lot of fights. I think for people that don't have a bunch of fights, it's a good way to step into the UFC. I think for someone that has over 15 fights and has fought in shows that have a lot of people there, probably isn't a good thing. But.
Yeah. I mean, well, if you were to rate his debut, what would you rate it? 1 out of 10. 10 being the best.
10 being the best, I'd give it a 6.5.
Okay. We're about the same. I was
6.5, 7 maybe.
I was going to give it a 7.
He
Only because
showed
I know there's so much pressure coming in.
Yeah,
first fight
he showed it.
debut.
Look, he showed holes in his stand-up. That he can. People can take advantage of him in certain areas in the stand-up. He did show, although he's not a great wrestler like you said, he's a very good body lock takedown guy.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's a difference in the way he takes people down. But once the fight hits the ground, look at how many times can we say it? Gerald Meerschaert on the ground, he's fucking good.
Yeah.
There's a reason why the UFC put him there, and he's got what more? Is he now with more submissions in the middleweight than anybody ever? I think he's got more submissions in the middleweight weight class than anyone. So for you and a lot of people that think the middleweights aren't doing a whole lot, aren't thinking. Well, at least the guy's got more finishes, and he finishes people.
There's not
his fight against Shabazian, man. He got hurt, comes back, finishes him. I like that.
I mean, I'm looking at the rankings right now. So if I was going to put De Ridder against any of these guys, you've got Fluffy Hernandez, Michel Pereira, you've got Chris Curtis. Those are the top. Those are 15, 14, and 13. And then Khamzat is like 12. I don't know why he's at 12, which is crazy.
Who's at 12?
Khamzat.
Oh,
let me see.
Come on.
Let me see. No, sorry. They just updated it. Literally, as we're talking, I just got to update it. I got to update on it. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of where I'm at right now. Let me see. Let's look at this. You got Nazardine, Whitaker, Khamzat now is at 3. Whitaker is at number 4. Imavov is 5. Bahalo is at 6. I wouldn't take him up that far. But if I'm looking at somebody, maybe you have him fight somebody like a Jack Hermanson, who's not great on the feet,
but it's got a good ground game.
Got a good ground game. That makes for a good fight. Or do you have him fight someone like a Shara? Oh yeah.
I think him against the Shara Bullet would be great, because look at one's got his strength. Magomedov's got a definite advantage on the feet. He's a faster fighter. He's got way better stand up, but on the ground, he's going to be in trouble. Yeah. So he's got to keep himself in the standing position. Can he do it? Yeah, I think he can, but he's going to have to work at it.
Yeah, I think the Jack Hermanson fight is the fight to make, though.
That's not a bad one.
I think he should stay away from Anthony Hernandez. That guy right now is on a tear. That guy's on a tear right now.
Tough as hell, man.
But overall, I give his debut performance probably a 7. I was expecting, I was expecting a little bit more, I think, in terms of chasing the submission. But I also understand your first fight, a lot of pressure.
Yep.
It's not easy to get that win. Big show, like the biggest show in the world. You're thinking to yourself, I'm here. And he had some kind words for one championship afterwards.
John. I don't know if it was kind, but I think it was honest.
Yeah, he's
being honest.
I think you've heard it from a lot of fighters that have left.
And he's saying it. That you got to look at it and say, when a fighter comes out and he basically just said, "Man, if you are thinking of going to 1, don't." That's what he said.
Yeah.
Don't. You're making a mistake. And he's saying, you're not going to get fights, and it doesn't matter how much, icing's on the cake. All right. You can put all kinds of icing all over it. It doesn't make it a great cake. Okay. It's what is inside it. And that's what makes, the UFC what it is, from the inside, it's running well. One's not running well. You're not that far in the hole and saying that we're running well. Oh, we're doing exactly what we expected. We're doing this the way we wanted. No one wants to lose that much money.
Yeah.
Even when it's not yours.
I mean, they have found ways to sign talented fighter. Look, they signed DJ. They had Eddie Alvarez. They got the
but DJ's different. Right DJ's different.
Michael Musamechi, he just left as well. Like,
it's got hold on. Sage Northcutt, just every one of the people that, all the people that come from basically outside the area where one is, working, and that's now they're moving from Singapore to Thailand, right?
Yes.
Right. And why?
Just cost.
Money. Yeah. And so they have a ton, and I'm going to tell you, they have some good fighters. They have people that are fun to watch. A lot of their Muay Thai people are just, phenomenal as far as watching them and what they do. So I'm not putting one down in any way as far as some of the fights they put on. They put on some great fights, but I've been told, you've been told, other people have been told that the contracts for those people, let's be honest, they're basically in a position where they can't get out of them.
No.
So they have to fight. That's their only way of making money. They make it, with, one, but they're not making a lot. And so they want to fight a lot. And they can do that with some of the people in the area that they're at. When it comes to the athletes outside, like when they had Eddie Alvarez, Eddie left based upon they weren't going to pay him. Okay. So that's the start of you saying, what's the problem? Sage Northcutt is now leaving. Why? They didn't want to pay him. De Ritter's leaving. Why? Weren't giving him fights. Don't want to pay him. They want to pay the guys that are not making a lot of money, and they can put on fights that way. And that way, maybe they can sustain themselves. So more power to him in that. But I understand why he said, don't go there.
Being a promotion trying to compete with the UFC, the downfalls are
why
you have to pay fighters more.
Yes,
to come to your promotion.
Absolutely.
So they're like, oh, they're spending all this money. You hear Dana, these guys are spending all this money. Why? Why are you spending money?
You have to compete with him.
Exactly. But if you want to build it, if you want to build a promotion, you have to build it from the ground up.
Yes.
You have to build homegrown athletes from the ground up. Now, you're going to probably have some of those athletes that are going to leave. They're going to go to the UFC.
Sure.
That's what sucks. You put all your money and your time into building these athletes, and their ultimate goal, you hear a lot of them say, is like, my whole goal is to try to get to the UFC. But Strikeforce had success because it was at the time frame as which it was. Like, that was a perfect time. Plus Showtime had came into it, and that was kind of kickstarting it off to be like a really big promotion and be able to compete. Once that went away, that was the last time I think you're ever going to have a real promotion being able to compete with the UFC. And Pride had it for a bit. They were actually ahead of the UFC, and then they bought Pride. And then Strikeforce was the same thing. And then they bought Strikeforce, and the opportunities just came at the right time for them. And they ended up taking a lot of the top talent and buying the promotion and the TV rights to it. So they basically had all the content as well. Now that they can just flood ESPN, their library. I mean, that's a done deal. That's what these networks are looking for right now with the new streaming services and the content and everything else. You need content. It's no different than your social media. Like, the more you post, the more people follow you. And it's got to be good content. Don't get me wrong, but the more active you are in producing, extra content, and that's like just the library of Strikeforce and Pride and the UFC all together on ESPN, available or on Fight Pass or whatever it is. You can view it, any fight that they've ever had or bought. And so that's going to be hard for any promotion coming up. And if you're going to do it, they all try to just jump in and pay for these fighters. It's just impossible. You can't do it that way. You literally have to try to build it from the ground up. You've got to start with a small grassroots show. You start building up some of your talent, and then, start getting some funding. If you can start getting some funding to start paying some top level guys, but not ones that are washed up and want to be out. Some guys that are probably like a Cade and Ty Rudatolo. If you could have got them in at a good rate.
Yeah. Those are the kind that they're going to cost you more than your average based upon what they've done in the grappling world. But as young talent, and they are young talent coming up in MMA, you can really make a splash, if you not only match them right, but promote them right.
Yeah, because they already have a following as well, John. That's the biggest thing.
True.
Is like they're bringing more eyeballs to your show because they have such a big following.
Sure.
And so, like, those are young, talented fighters. Let's just say you have them for 7 to 8 years. No one ever says that you need to have a promotion doesn't need to be a feeder into the UFC, but if it does feed into the UFC, there's nothing wrong with that. What you don't want to do is throw a bunch of money at fighters thinking that they'll ever be as loyal to you to make sure that you go all the way. It doesn't work that way. You've got to make sure that you have a relationship with these fighters, keep that relationship strong, and do the best you can by them. That's the key to, I think, building the promotion. from the grassroots up. And if they leave, they leave. You can't be upset about it because it's a business. They've got to make a business decision for themselves. And if the UFC wants to pay them a ridiculous amount of money to leave your promotion and go there, then you can understand that. You've got to understand that. Yeah. But you can still build young stars and build them up. I think that's the only way if you're ever going to have a promotion that tries to eventually compete with the UFC, or at least be kind of up there in that Bellator, Strikeforce, Pride kind of, you're going to have to do it that way, because throwing money at fighters, it just makes it impossible to compete. You eventually put yourself in such a big hole. And we've seen that time and time again, over and over and over again. Yeah. So who knows? I mean, I think there'll be another couple promotions, I think, popping up here pretty shortly. I think there's going to be some stuff going on. So look for some new fight promotions to start popping up, and we'll see what happens, man. I'm looking forward to hearing, because a lot of people don't seem to be happy with whether it's ONE, whether it's PFL, whether it's Bellator, whether it's UFC. There needs to be another avenue for these athletes to go. The more promotions,
those avenues are closing down.
They are closing down, but it gives the fighters a little bit more negotiation.
Yeah.
Right.
And that's why
it's
they're
always
needed.
Nice. Yeah, which is always nice. Next fight.
Well, let's get into that, because we had Gaston Bolanos, who came from Bellator into the UFC, going against Cortavius Romious, and it was really a good fight. I mean, there was mistakes made on both sides, but Gaston Bolanos was at least smart enough at times to get his ass off of the ground and get back to the stand-up. He landed a lot of good kicks. He landed a lot of good right hands. Cortavius, you can see, man, this kid is athletic. He's powerful, super strong. He picked Bolanos up off of the first takedown he did, was just beautiful. And it was all pure strength. And it was just like, wow, that kid is strong. He just didn't have the experience to deal with a guy in Gaston Bolanos who's been through a lot of fights, maybe not a ton of MMA fights, but a lot of kickboxing fights and things under his belt, and has continued to get better and has made himself much better in the grappling realm than he used to be. It was his Achilles heel for a long time. But I really thought that Gaston Bolanos really fought a good fight overall. He got hurt in the fight. You could see he got stung, but he, came back, went back to what he's best at for the most part in the stand-up, landed a ton of shots. Good fight for him.
Yeah, I thought Gaston fought. I was surprised to see him so high up on the card.
Yeah, so was I.
But I think because the Garbot fell off, they pushed him up. But I've trained with him a couple of times, spar with him, grapple him a lot, but spar with him a lot at AKA. He trains up at the CSA, which is like probably about an hour north of us in the Bay Area. He's been working a lot with Raul Castillo and Adam Piccolotti and those guys, and getting some grappling in with those guys. Comes to AKA a lot for some wrestling, with Habib's team and Javier's and the DCs and all that when they're in. So Kane's doing a great job coaching over there, whether it's the wrestling, whether it's putting the fight team together. Kane Velasquez is still there doing all of his stuff, man, on a daily basis. He's the grinder now.
And you actually have to go. This is, for the most part, in Bellator, Gaston Bolanos was a featherweight. He's now down at bantamweight, and he looked good.
Yeah. Well, what's funny is, it's like fighters will just do whatever they want in the other promotions. Then they get to the UFC and they're like, "Oh, I got to take this serious." And then you see the best performances out of it. Like, why didn't you try to do this? Look at Joaquin Buckley. Yeah. I'm going to fight at 85. Then you get to the UFC and you're like, "I'm going to fight here. I'm going to fight." Like, bro, you're the best you've looked is at 170. You see it all the time. These guys, oh no, I have to go back to. I mean, like, no knock on, because I will never ever disrespect or not knock Robbie Lawler, but Robbie, when he went back to the UFC, where'd he go? 170.
Yeah,
I was like, and it's the greatest thing that ever happened to him in his career, because before that he was fighting 205, 185. Like it was just kind of like floating around in the space, making money. But then when he went back to the UFC, became welterweight champion, but had some of the most historic fights ever. That guy is hands down one of the greatest fighters I've ever seen, with the biggest heart too. Just absolutely love the guy.
He's a savage.
But just a savage, right? To watch him fight. And 170 is where he fought Nick Diaz years and years ago. Yeah. And to see him back at 170, it was just a huge, huge deal, because that's where his best fights ever came up, was in the 170-pound division.
No doubt about it.
Although he had some great knockouts at 185.
Yeah. You did. The Melvin Manhoef one is still one of those ones. You look and you go, how?
Yeah.
Yeah, but
man.
oh, dude,
He could barely walk.
Oh, dude, his legs were toast.
Yeah, they were.
Melvin basically blew his legs up. He was on his last thing and hits Melvin, and he's always had that ability. He's got heavy hands and just starched him. That's what makes Robbie Lawler fun to watch because he's never out of it.
No. And then the way he finished his career was just awesome.
Oh, yep,
awesome. Yeah. Got the walk off, and then on top of that, the way they did the video for him leading up to it all. I mean, and just to see some of his raw emotion. He's somebody that doesn't seem to show a lot of emotion.
Oh my God, Robbie never talked.
Yeah, he's such a good dude, man. It's just fun to be around. Pleasure to be around.
Yep.
Next fight.
Jillian Robertson took on Luana Pinheiro, and I really enjoyed the fight. I thought this was a good fight in the fact that Jillian Robertson used her grappling. She was in positions at time to try to finish the fight. Pinheiro, she cheated. I love those times when she was cheating and the referee, don't grab the fence. Well, she already did. Okay, yeah. I'm sorry, she already did. That's you see when she grabbed it like that to pull it. That's what she's doing. She's grabbing the fence.
Your fingers.
But Pinheiro, she's stuck in there tough. I know that Jillian at the end of it said, I wasn't happy with I want to finish people. It's hard to finish good fighters, and Pinheiro is a good fighter. So I really thought that Jillian upped her game again. I think she's on her way to, she's in that. I would put her in the top 10 in the strawweight division for the UFC. I think she's that good. And when it comes to the ground, she can go with anyone. The real question is she going to get better in her stand-up? Because it's adequate. It suffices for her to get to where she's strong. But when you get into those, top fighters in that weight class, you got to be really comfortable everywhere.
See, this is a little bit of my problem though, like with De Ridder. When you have fighters, the days of one-dimensional fighters is over, even for females. So I don't understand. I mean, even remember what's the other girl that's really like top level jiu-jitsu? Not Mackenzie Dern, Jandarova.
Jandarova, yeah.
Same thing. Like her stand-up is adequate. She can also take a shot. She gives shots, but she's it's adequate to get to her grappling. She's phenomenal on the ground, obviously. But I feel like even the females, it's starting to get. You can't just be a one-dimensional fighter anymore. You need to start opening your game and elevating your striking to mix it in. And if you can't do that, at least learn how to wrestle. Like with Mackenzie Dern, no wrestling. Striking's gotten better, but no wrestling. No wrestling. So like you have world-class jiu-jitsu. Like her, she's got world-class jiu-jitsu. But if you can't get the fighter down, how are you going to use it? And so she's worked on her stand-up, which is great, but the entryway and the wrestling and all this other stuff needs work. Jillian Robertson, I think, phenomenal fighter. She got the right mindset. She knows what she has to do, get the finishes. You're not going to get close to a title shot until you start getting more finishes. UFC is going to be want to see how can you get this thing done. If you're going to be a wrestler, you're going to be a jiu-jitsu guy, female, you need to have more finishes. I need grappling finishes. You need to go for broke. You need to chase the submissions, put the pressure on them, make them panic in these situations. You're chasing them in the submission after submission. So then at least it's entertaining for the crowd. So I know it's frustrating because when you get with somebody, have you ever trained with somebody? And if you're better than them on, like if I train with a blue belt or a purple belt, right? They just do this. Like you get them out. They don't want to move. They don't want to extend their arm. They don't want to do any of this. And sometimes when you fight people, they know that you're good on the ground. They don't really open up. They're just kind of waiting for the round to end so then they can get back to their feet and start again. And sometimes you find those people. And Jillian Roberts going to have to, that's the problem with being just a one-dimensional fighter. They can start to stall you out that way and only focus on getting themselves back up to their feet. So she's got to make some adjustments, make it a little bit, just threaten a couple things on the feet. Put together certain combinations. Give yourself like 3-punch combination or punch kick combination, something you can go to the well on. Like I used to do that with my southpaw stance. I had 3 combinations that I loved to throw from the southpaw stance. But I didn't really veer off from that because I didn't want to leave myself out of position. So I was comfortable with those 3 combinations, and they did me well with the Diaz fight. So you just got to make sure you've got them down. You can feint, give setups, but because the people that they fight are so afraid of being taken down because you're so good on the ground. Make it easier on yourself. And then that's what opens up the big overhand rights and the overhand lefts and the big kicks and all that stuff, because they're ready to drop their hands to defend the takedowns, to defend the legs.
True.
And that'll open up the striking for you a lot. So you just got to work on it and focus on it. Make it a thing to actually let it go. But John, the next fight, I got to be honest, man. I was excited to see Abdul-Malik. I was excited to see
Abdul-Malik.
You know, he fought a great fight, man. He's a stud.
He's a stud. Yeah. When I was in July, when I was in Vegas and it was at Extreme Coutures and he was training and stuff, and I'm watching him, I'm going, yeah, he's going to cause people a lot of problems. You just watch, Eric Nixon, because he goes, dude, you won't believe some of the stuff this guy's doing.
Yeah.
And I knew going into this, and I said, look, I like Dusko. He's going to have problems. This guy's just got it all. His wrestling is really good. It's solid. He's fast. He's super athletic. He hasn't been beat yet. And that was, he's coming off of, I want to say Wes Schultz was his Dana White contender fight. And he really looked good in that one. And then this one right here, at one time, Dusko was that hot prospect. Well, right now, Mansour has put himself into, he is the hot prospect. He looked great. I was really impressed that, because when he went for the finish in the beginning, and he put out a lot of energy there, and then it didn't happen. And a lot of guys, when that happens and you're young, they'll start to really reel and get themselves into almost a funk, like, oh my God, I'm tired now. What am I going to do? He didn't do that at all. He showed a lot of maturity. He just kept pushing forward, took it, slowed it down a little bit, got his heart rate down a little bit, and then landed that damn knee, dude. That knee was solid. You could hear it. And that was the beginning of the end.
Let me ask you, was there a fight that this reminded you of back in the day? Dusko and how he fought, chasing the legs, letting himself get punched in the face.
Oh, yeah.
Does it remind you? There's two fighters it reminds me of. Ian Freeman. With Frank Mir.
With Frank Mir.
And then Paul Craig. Paul Craig does this all the time.
Yeah, Paul Craig does it all the time. It's a mistake.
When you're chasing legs, you got to either attack them, get them.
And I want to change that around. Ian Freeman was the guy doing the punching.
Yes.
When Frank Mir was, searching. And Frank Mir was undefeated at the time.
Yeah, he was undefeated. And then Ian Freeman had just lost his dad like the day before or the week of.
Yeah, that week of, yeah.
Very emotional weekend for him.
UFC 38.
That was amazing to see.
Yeah.
That was amazing. It wasn't amazing for Frank, but it was amazing to see, like, knowing what he was battling, in his head.
Well, see, that was one of those ones when you're looking at it, the UFC looking at it, they didn't want Frank Mir to lose. He was the 80%. And they didn't realize, everything, that built up for Ian. This is the one. And he put on a hell of a performance.
But what I saw from Dusko was the same thing. Dusko was that he just was allowing himself. He kept chasing the legs, kept chasing.
That's the problem. But
I'm like, why?
You got to have it in your mindset. If you want to go for leg locks, great, go for the leg locks. But you've got to abandon them when I am not there. Abandon it. Let it go. Get yourself back to a safer position. It's when you don't abandon it, you try to make something out of what you've already lost. And it. But it's like, maybe I can get it back. No.
If the guy's on the feet, if you can't break their balance so they can't punch you. I mean, I'll give you guys an example. Remember the kid, who was the first kid I fought in the UFC? Gerald Streetman. He was chasing legs on me and I was just pushing him down and back hammer fisting him and stuff. It's like, once you realize
spitting out of stuff.
Yeah. Like once you know it's not there, if you can't break their balance to get them off balance, they can't punch you, then you need to just abandon it. Kick them back and get back up to your feet. I didn't see that. Now, I don't know if that was just more like panic mode where he just kept chasing it, but there was nothing there. And he took some big shots that I think just led into him, getting more tired, because the more shots you take, the more tired you get. And it's like a video game, the power thing on the video game.
The power bar is going down. Everyone.
Yeah, it goes down. So that's what I saw. And man, Abdul-Malik is just, he's awesome. He's going to be a problem for a lot but see, this is that middleweight. This is what you need. You need that new blood coming in there,
that starts to excite people. And I think he's going to be that guy.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. Yeah. I'm going to skip. You want to talk the next fight? Go ahead.
I'll say this. Denise Gomes put on a nice performance. I thought Karolina Kowalkiewicz really fought as good a fight as she could.
Mm-hmm.
This is one of those ones you're walking it. She's 39 years of age.
Yeah.
You know, the speed's not quite the same. She's fighting someone who's, you know, normally walking through people. But I thought Carolina, especially, you know, in the third round, really fought a good fight. You know, I thought, you know, did everything that I could expect from her. Nice win by Denise Gomes, but I thought Carolina really, she showed very well as far as her skill set at the age of 39. You know, I'm not sure the wins are going to be coming, but she's still a good fighter.
Next fight, Zach Scroggins versus Dos Santos.
Zaleski Dos Santos. And man, I'll tell you what, this is those ones that we talk. And I said, look, Dos Santos is that guy, you know, when I watched him against Benoit Saint Denis, and he gave Benoit his first loss and almost killed him. I mean, that was that one. The ref let that go. So that was
his debut, wasn't it?
Who's
Saint Denis' debut?
That was Saint Denis' debut, I believe. Yes. Yeah, but I mean, that fight right there showed you how good he was. And then he's had a couple of them that you go, look, he's good. He is just a tough, well-trained. He's good on the feet. He's good on the ground. He's got it all. You know, Zach Scroggins coming in. He's undefeated, but this is a last-minute replacement, you know, and you could see right away, you know, just there's levels to this game. And when all of a sudden you get hit by someone and it's like, oh, my God, you know, this is different than anything I've had to deal with so far. He just fell apart.
Yeah, they don't call it the big show for no reason.
It happens.
Welcome to the big show, buddy.
That's it. Yes.
You know,
sometimes be careful. Be careful what you wish for.
Yeah, they're all good up here. You know. Next fight, Semelsberger versus Radtke.
Boy, Charles Radtke looked good. You know, Radtke has had some fights where you looked and you thought, man, he's going to be something special, and then you'll have a fight. You go, wow, you know, he lost that. I wasn't too sure that was going to happen. This one I thought was going to be a close fight. No, I actually thought that, you know, him and Semelsberger would be a back and forth battle. No, he just put it on Semelsberger. It was like Semelsberger was in a different gear.
It was funny because I was listening to the commentary and Paul Felder apparently had told Bisping, he's like, yeah, watch for Radtke to hit him with the left hook. He's going to land this thing clean. He's probably get him out of there early. And then and you hear Bisping go, I don't think it's going to happen. He's like, I'm not so sure about that. And then literally like 30 seconds later, bink, bink. Yeah. Oh, shit. And his combination was tight and clean. He just missed with a left hook probably right before he landed the shot. Just before it.
That's right.
Yeah, and I was like, oh, man, this kid's throwing with bad intentions. He's got some power in his hands. He's clean with his technique. Defensively, is a good fighter. Very impressive, man. Very, very impressive performance. I mean, we can't get much from it, but it was, I mean, he did everything he's supposed to do. Came out there, dispatched of his opponent, and Semelsberger is tough.
Yeah.
Tough fighter.
Well, see, and this is one of those fights where you take a look and, you know, we talked about, you know, the UFC puts, this was more of an even position fight. I could say that if you want to say that Radtke was a favorite, okay, I'm okay with that. But not like, oh, hey, look, Radtke's going to destroy him and stuff. No, I thought this was going to be an actual good fight back and forth. I put them both close to the same level. Not even. I mean, he just dominated it.
Yeah, I agree. Damon Blackshear versus Cody Stamann.
Same thing. You know, this is one of those. Damon Blackshear coming into the UFC. You know, we've seen, you know, Damon before. You know, he's fought in a lot of different places and stuff. You know, he's got some losses, you know, early on in his career, had quite a few and stuff. But, man, I'll tell you what, he's looking good.
Yeah.
He's fighting well. He's believing in himself. He's going out there and he's doing, you know, what he needs to do. He was always fighting in the CFFC, which is in New Jersey and on the East Coast and stuff, and had some good wins there against talented guys, and then got himself in the UFC. Cody Stamann is the guy that, you know, Cody was rising, and all of a sudden now, it's a little bit different. And this was, you know, one of those fights where you look and you go, and that's the difference in what, you know, when you're the UFC and you're looking at someone going up and you're looking at someone that's kind of leveled out, and plateaued and is possibly coming down. And he went out and did what he was supposed to do. And I wasn't too sure that that he was going to be able to get, you know, Cody to the ground.
Yeah.
Easy.
I mean, Damon Blackshear, though, the length of him over Cody. Cody's not the tallest guy. He's not the longest guy. So the speed, I thought, would be about comparable. I thought Blackshear would be a little bit faster and then also use the reach to his advantage. But honestly, I mean, he looked good. He got to the choke and then he got to the back. Very impressive because he had him in the Mount Guillotine for a bit.
Some of his losses, when you look and you go, I know he lost to Pat Sabatini. Well, that's a tough ass fight.
Yeah.
Okay. Now that was in the CFFC. I know, but losing to Pat Sabatini is the real deal. I know he lost to Danny Sabatello. Danny Sabatello is a tough son of a bitch, and then I know he lost to Meerschaert in the UFC, and Meerschaert's the real deal. I mean, so as far as has he had losses? Yeah, but he's fighting top tier guys when he's losing, and he's beating the guys that he's supposed to beat, and obviously he was supposed to beat Cody. So very nice performance by Damone Blackshear.
Give an honorable mention to Trishan Gore.
Trishan Gore, yeah.
How can I ask you a question though?
Yeah.
How are you the shorter fighter and able to guillotine somebody who's taller than you? Like that was very impressive, John. He had lifted him up off the ground.
Yeah.
I was expecting Trocoli to have a little bit better defense on the guillotine attempt. I mean, throw the arm over the shoulder, jump up on top of them, Spider-Man them, whatever it is, right? Like do something, push on the hip. I don't know. It was you could tell that Gore just physically was like, come here, let me manhandle you real quick.
Look, and Trocoli, you look and dude, he's put together.
Yeah.
So it's not like I think he's a weak individual. No, man, he's strong, but Trishan Gore just like manhandled him.
Yeah.
That's what he was supposed to, if you remember when he was back in the Ultimate Fighter, he was, supposed to be in the finals and then was pulled out of the finals and stuff, but the guy can fight.
Yeah. Overall though, I thought it was a pretty good card.
It was a good card. Overall, I give the card 8.5.
So you give it 8.5. Why do you give it an 8.5? Is it because
I love the finishes? Okay. And now some of them, I'm like, okay, that one was a mismatch, but there was a lot that weren't mismatches.
That's what I was going to ask you. Do you mark it down a little bit because you feel like they were mismatches?
I do. But I can take a look and I could say, the main event, if you want to sit there, Carlos Prates made it a mismatch because we know that Neil Magny has been in there against the very best and he's had great performance. So I can't sit there and say, well, it's a mismatch. Yeah. That's a fight that, when you're up at that level, you got to perform. Carlos Prates performed. Give it to him. De Ridder, I look and say, that wasn't a mismatch. That was an evenly matched. I like the way they put, someone that could absolutely stay with him on the ground and possibly give him trouble. I loved it. I thought the Gaston Bolanos fight was a fun fight. It was a good fight, back and forth, evenly matched. Same thing with the Jillian Robertson. And so, throughout that's the main card, as I'm looking at, they put on great fights. In the preliminary, there were a couple in there that I look and go, okay, maybe a mismatch, but obviously the Dos Santos fight against Scroggins, it was a mismatch. Yeah. Okay. But it's last minute replacement. What are you going to do? You're trying to keep a fight for one of your fighters. He wants to fight. He's gone through camp. He's done everything he's supposed to do. So they give him a fight against a guy undefeated. Let's see how you do. Yeah. Obviously it didn't go well, but I thought overall pretty good showing. Yeah.
I would give it probably 8.5 as well.
See?
Somewhere in there, 8.5. And the only reason why I didn't give it more is because some of the fighters are, some of them, like I think what you were telling me there, George, that Stamann was basically saying he felt like he was fighting for his job. Like, those are the kind of cards. These are the kind of cards that like there's things at stake, but they're struggling with trying to get to the level they feel like they should be at. So I look at it, I'm like, okay, this is a big deal fight for you. Do you rise to the occasion or not? But you're not really getting the top level athletes that the UFC bring. These guys are fighting for their jobs, I think, on this type of card. You have a pay-per-view next week. So you're matching them up. And so this was one of those cards where the fights were entertaining. There was a lot of finishes, and it was fun to watch, man. It was definitely fun to watch. So I give it an 8.5, somewhere in there. Same as you.
My farm needs the earth, the air, and the water. I get my energy going on LMNT Electrolyte Drink Mix. Clean, good-tasting energy that feeds me like I feed my plants and animals. And after a long day on the tractor, when it's time to shoot the podcast, I drink LMNT so that I can stay energized and stay salty. Let's get it on.
George, what else you got for us, buddy? You got some news for us? Before we move on, though, this episode is brought to you by BetUS. Make sure you guys YouTube 150 for the promo code. Also, Element, use the link in the descriptions down below. Click that link. Any product you buy from there, they will send you a bonus package of product if you use our link down below. Element's amazing, man. I love it. And I want to say thank you, man. Thank you guys so much for continuing to support us. Also, we offer memberships for our YouTube channel. So you guys can subscribe to us there. It's $4.99 for the memberships. We do giveaways, and I got to announce our giveaway for this month that I keep forgetting. So I got to do a giveaway. I know that Alex, he likes to be called Alex. He was our first winner last month, and so now we have this month coming in, and I got to make it good. We got to make a good giveaway this month, John, because it is Thanksgiving, and we are out here giving. We are out here giving for this month and for December. This is giving months. These are giving months. What do you got for us, George? Oh, also, make sure you guys subscribe to us over at OnlyFans. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to follow us over there. We're over about 1,000 followers over there. So it is free. Just subscribe to us over there. Extra content, extra stuff. I'm going to be posting a bunch of video content that I did last night that's only going to be available on OnlyFans from the Ole Miss and Georgia game last night where we stormed the field. We had a blast. It was awesome. Me and I'll be able to understand what I was saying in some of the videos. but it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. We had a great time. So, George, what do you got for us, buddy?
All right. I sent a text over to the news group text right now. But recently, there was a video of Nick Diaz hanging outside lighting grass on fire. A lady was pretty concerned, videotaped him, asked him if he was okay. I just wanted to know what your thought was on it.
Is it Nick Diaz, though?
That is a very good question. The lady in the video says, Nick, what are you doing? But that does not mean it's specifically Nick Diaz.
Yeah, I don't know if I can confirm that that's him. That's the only thing. I kind of can see a little bit of the smile and stuff that maybe, but I don't know. I can't tell if it's him from how far the video is shot from. And they zoom it out. When they do zoom it in, it gets too pixelated to see if it's really him or not.
I don't know, but all I know is there's nothing wrong with burning grass. I burn grass all the time. In fact, I was burning grass today. So part of, burning grass is, so you don't have to cut it. I've already cut it. It's dead. But, Nick has burnt enough grass in his lifetime that I believe that he's an expert.
Yeah, I would imagine he is as well. I would definitely imagine he is.
So just Diaz doing Diaz stuff.
Just Diaz doing Diaz stuff, man. If the man's an expert, let him go.
He knows how to burn some grass.
That's exactly it.
That is for sure.
I'm sure he's burned most than the average man.
What other news you got for us? You got something else for us there, George? Any news?
I can look through our group chat real quick.
Who do you think's burnt more grass? Nick Diaz or Snoop Dogg? I'm going Snoop Dogg only because he's older.
Snoop's a lot older.
Oh my God.
What is he? He's like 60 something, isn't he?
He's up there. He's my age, yeah. I'll tell you what, man. When the Dana White Contender Series, I don't know if you remember when it first started, he was one of the announcers. Or the
Nick was? Snoop
guys.
Dogg was. Yes,
Snoop
with Uriah Faber, correct?
With Uriah Faber. Mm-hmm. Dude, he smoked us out of that fucking gym. All of a sudden, it's like, is it getting cloudy in here? What the fuck? Everyone's going, can you smell that? I said, I can smell it. And they're running up there because Dana had put him up in his office there, and the window's open. And he just, man, I tell you what, I'm serious. There was a Snoop Dogg haze all in the gym. They had to clear it out. That's a man that can handle his grass.
How many shows did he work?
Not very many. He a couple in the at the beginning of the first year, but that was it. But funny, the
fighters
dude
got tired of fighting in Smokey's room.
Well, that was part of the whole thing. They said, "Hey, we can't have it." So then they took him. They put him outside in a truck trailer to do the commentary out there, so it wouldn't be in the gym. It was great.
So he hotboxed the truck trailer.
Oh fuck yeah!
Jeez, man, what a classic! What a classic! What else you got for us there, George? Nothing.
Yeah, you guys kind of covered everything already. One championship. You guys excited for the Jake Paul Mike Tyson fight coming up?
I'll tell you what, man. I love. Well, Mike Tyson made a comment, and I went, I love that. and it was something to the effect of Jake Paul is a manufactured killer or something to that. He goes, I'm a natural born killer. And I was like, all right, I like that. That's, Jake Paul is in that position where, I still say, I love Mike. I want Mike to win.
Yeah.
But he can do it in the first round and a half. After that, I'm not too sure it's a good fight for him. But whatever's good for him.
I don't know. We'll see. I mean,
what do you think?
In terms of what I think is going to happen?
Yeah.
John, I don't know. Like I guess what it is, my heart tells me I think that Tyson can get it done probably in the first 3-4 rounds.
My heart tells me go with Tyson.
Yeah.
My head tells me
it's going to probably be
58 years old. Fuck.
Yeah. I mean, and you go back and you watch the fight with Roy Jones. Roy Jones can still box, can still move.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they were both tired at the end of that fight. And there's going to be a lot more activity in this fight from the younger fighter, from Jake Paul. He's going to push on Tyson. He's going to hang on Tyson. He's going to make him carry his weight.
But what, in your opinion, what is the upside for Jake Paul? And I'm saying that you're fighting Mike Tyson, but you're not fighting the Mike Tyson. Okay. You're fighting a guy that was Mike Tyson as far as, a fighter 20 years ago, but not he's not a fighter today. And I look and I go, I just don't see a ton of, I see a lot of upside for Mike in ways, if he can knock him out right away and people, say, man, I did that at 58. Boom. Great. He's making a lot of money. Good. Boom. Love it. If it goes to a decision, doesn't hurt him. I'm going against a guy that's 20 some years younger than me.
When you say a lot of money,
31.
What do you think the number is?
I have been given information that tells me that Mike was guaranteed $20 million.
And then, okay, so guaranteed 20 million. And then
I don't know what Jake was guaranteed.
Extra pay-per-view. I mean, because is 20 million a good enough number for him, you think?
It's not on pay-per-view.
That's right. It's on Netflix, right? It's on Netflix, correct? Yeah. Yep. Netflix got the money. Yeah. I think honestly, that's probably the only way that Tyson would have done that deal, is knowing that Netflix has the money. Like, we're not basing that based off of how many pay-per-views you sell. No. I want my guaranteed money.
Yep.
That makes sense. If I'm 58 years old and I'm actually going to put my body through a fight camp again, I want to make sure the fucking check clears.
Absolutely.
I'm not going out there getting a hit to see maybe the pay-per-view numbers are going to do well. No thanks.
Well, that's kind of what happened with Nate Diaz against Masvidal.
Yeah.
In that, he didn't get his money.
Yeah, I think they're working that deal out.
I'm sure they are, but he was supposed to get a specific number.
Yeah, I think it was 10 million.
$9 million.
Yeah, something that's crazy.
Well, speaking of money, Mike Tyson by decision plus 1,100. Mike Tyson by KO, TKO, or DQ plus 260. Jake Paul to win by TKO or KO is plus 125. Jake Paul by decision plus 330. And a draw is a plus 850.
A draw. Is there plus 850? Is if it goes the distance, is it automatically a draw?
No, it's a professional fight. It's not an exhibition.
Got it. So. I mean, Tyson is, what'd you say, plus 250? For
by KO, 260, plus 260.
You can take it for the first couple of rounds.
Yeah.
I don't see him pulling off.
After round 3 or 4, it's going to be, I mean, look, Roy Jones, I saw an interview with Roy Jones, man. He's like, man, that guy can still hit.
Oh, there's no doubt.
Still hit.
There's no doubt.
So, I mean, if Tyson beats up the body a little bit, he's got to get in, though. The speed of Jake Paul, you got to make Jake run. Start to slow him down a little bit.
Jake's going to run.
You got to make him fight off the back foot. If you make him fight off the back foot, he's not the same fighter. When he's the hammer, he fights great. When he's the nail, he's nowhere near the same fighter.
I agree with you.
So
I agree with you. But how long can Mike push that pressure on him?
I don't know.
That's what scares me with it. So I mean, look, I want Mike to win. Sorry, Jake. Nothing against you. It's just that Mike's the man. So, yeah, he comes from my generation.
If you guys like those betting odds, go to BetUS. Use YouTube 150. YouTube 150 is a promo code. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to subscribe to us here. Hit that little bell and notifications. I know we dropped a little bit late. We're going to drop late again next week because I'm out of town for my son's lacrosse tournament for his NDP team. So,
but we will be back on Tuesday for our live show.
Tuesday night live. Last week we didn't do it on Tuesday because of the election. So this week we were doing it live Tuesday night, 9:30 Eastern time. Make sure you guys set your calendar, set your timer. Make sure you guys jump in on that. Go ahead. And if you guys are a member, man, we'll make sure that we prioritize your guys' questions to the top. You'll have a little asterisk next to your name for $4.99, and for $1.99, you get the little asterisk there as well. The $4.99 people, you guys have access to extra content, but not just extra content, but also to we give our monthly giveaways, which we've got to get squared away before Tuesday. So,
boy, one of us does.
One of us got to get it squared away beforehand. All right, guys. I want to thank you guys so much for continuing to support us and here at the Weigh In Podcast. And John, take us away, bud.
Hey, for everyone out there, I hope you continue to have a wonderful weekend and a even better next week. It's coming up, and we do have UFC from Madison Square Garden. Stipe Miocic coming back against John Jones. We'll talk about that one on Tuesday. So everyone out there, come back and see us, and we will see you.